Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you just finished watching Adrian Paterath, that was great. We went a little bit long and it was good stuff. I was excited to talk to Adrian and I'm really looking forward to talking to Tatyana. She is an amazing person. Got a chance to know her a little bit during the time that I was there because she was there during times that I was actively involved in school at an SBI at Randolph. So excited to talk to her today. Tatyana Legros graduated from Randolph in 2011. She then went on to pursue a bachelor's degree in mathematics with a minor in accounting from the College of Brockport. SUNY hopes of becoming a financial planner. She did summer research with the Brockport McNair program in 2015 called Better Budgets Lead to More Money. Fall of 2015, Tatyana accepted a data specialist position with the nonprofit after-school organization Sport and Arts and Schools Foundation, SASF, now called New York Edge. Fall of 2017, she was promoted to assistant director. After 2 years of working low-income middle school students, the students become the positive cause for the complete career change to school counseling. January 2018, Tatyana began her online part-time grad program with NYU. May 2020, she graduated with her master's in school counseling with a 3.56 GPA. She currently still works as an assistant director with New York Edge, currently looking to find out what she would do next. Congratulations, Tatyana, on graduating. Welcome to the Alumni Connections Project.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. So tell people what you're currently doing now. I know I walked through it. One thing that I know that in terms of following you and seeing your stuff on Facebook and everything, which you didn't talk about at all, is like your martial arts stuff, because I know that's all over the place. Love to hear a little bit about that. But tell us what you're doing right now, and then what you would hope people are going to take away from today's interview.
So currently, like I said in the bio, I am assistant director for a nonprofit organization. It's an after-school program here in New York City area and Yonkers called New York Edge. And recently, I just graduated not too long ago from NYU with my master's in school counseling.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. And after I explain a little bit about myself and my journey in the trials and tribulations it took to get here, I want people to see that it's okay to wait a little bit or see different opportunities, and it's okay to fail. That's what I want people to understand after hearing from me.
That's awesome. So talk to us about your journey. Where did you go to junior high?
My journey to A. Philip Randolph is very interesting. So I am born and raised in Brooklyn. Before Randolph, I went to Marine Park, which is very close to King's Plaza. And I lived before Randolph. I lived in the last stop on the 2 train junction. So I took quite a journey to get to Randolph.
How long did it take you to get to Randolph and get back each day?
So actually, I had moved in between Randolph, but either way, it took about an hour, an hour and a change.
So there's a lot of Brooklyn and Bronx and Queens folks that can identify with your journey. And I know in counseling students, doing the college and career prep thing, time after time, we would talk about sleep, and
it was on that train.
Yeah, I mean, but you'd have that conversation, and I'm sitting there like, well, how do you fit this into the day? And then like, what time are you getting up? And I was always surprised because there were students that were getting up surprisingly early to get to school. And usually my criticism was, well, if you got to get up at 5 a.m., that you need to go to sleep before 12, not after 12, but always an interesting aspect to the story. But I know a lot of people from Brooklyn can identify Brooklyn in the house. So when you moved, were you still in Brooklyn?
Yes, I still in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, but I transitioned to a train stop, which was very helpful. The C train, which was
What was your train stop in Brooklyn?
um at first it was Newkirk on the 2 train,
Mm-hmm.
and when I took the 2 train, I had to take the 2 to the B to the D to the B, so 3 different trains. And then I transitioned midway summer of 2009 to the C train on Ralph Avenue. Took that train straight, 29
Yeah,
stops.
the C train goes to right
Yeah,
to 135th. Yeah,
yeah, 29
right,
stops.
right to your nice walk up those stairs.
That's it. And I was there.
All
So
right, so you came. So how did you choose? Why did you choose Randolph, and why did you leave Brooklyn for Randolph?
I say I'm a strong believer of everything happens for a reason. Back then and still now, I was very tuned into my future for some reason. I did honestly everything myself. I even did the list of schools myself, even as a middle schooler. So I had no parental guidance at all. Um, Before then, I
Now
had
you say that, but what was your parent involvement? Who were you living with? Did you have brothers and
I had
sisters?
no, I'm an only child. I am
Okay,
an only child, and
I figured that, but I thought let me clarify. So were mom and dad involved with like
no,
the decision at all?
they they were involved, but they gave me full reign to do whatever.
Okay,
Like
they're
I
like,
am
let me let this
they trust
precocious
me
child do
very
her thing.
well. They trust me very well in my decision. Luckily, so I mean, luckily they trust me. I wouldn't have been in Randolph, but I had 2 goals in mind when I did chose my high schools. A is not to be kind of like a statistic in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, the kids around my neighborhood either went to the 3 M's, which was Morrow, Midwood, or Madison. I didn't want to see the same people. Um, I want to see fresh new faces. And then number 2, um, for some reason, I thought I was Speedy Gonzalez. Um, in my neighborhood, we played tag, free tag, relays, all 9 yards. I thought I could run fast, so I wanted to be in the track team. So I was looking for any high school that had a track team. So somewhere I wouldn't have to see my middle school class again, and somebody with a track team. And A. Philip Randolph just happened to be obviously the first school in the Manhattan section of the book. Um, and for some reason, a good reason, I put Randolph as my number 1 pick out of all my high schools. And trust me, I don't remember half of not even one of the other high schools that I picked, honestly. I just remember A for the Randolph, and that was my number 1 pick, and I got in.
So you got it.
So
You get there. What was your initial impression as you're taking this hour ride to this
I so
castle on top of the hill past the
that
stairs?
was another funny thing. So I went up there for a orientation with my mom. So I took the trip, good old trip, went up there. I came out because I knew it was in Manhattan. I was like, I've been to Manhattan plenty of times, but lower Manhattan. But I got out of the train. I was like, Mom, why does this area look like Brooklyn? Like it looks so residential. Like it looked residential. I thought I was going to Manhattan. It looked residential, more residential than the typical Manhattan that everybody knows of. And then she's like, "You're in Harlem. I hope nobody kills me." But I was like, I thought Harlem was in the Bronx. No offense. I was like, what you mean? Harlem was in the Bronx? She's like, no, Harlem's in Manhattan. So that's how it went. And then I did the summer bridge program. So I had a little taste of it beforehand.
Yeah, explain the summer bridge program to somebody that might not know, because that's not a part of everybody's experience that went to Randolph.
Yeah, so the summer bridge program was cool. You did a little academic work, little taste of high school life, math, science, I believe science, and different array of stuff. And then every Thursday, I believe, or Friday, we went on a trip to different places like the museums or the zoo. It was a pretty cool experience. I really liked it, and it really definitely helped
awesome.
me.
So what was your initial impressions of the building? Like
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm very keen to seeing beautiful buildings. I guess I get like the feeling. I get a good feeling that I'm gonna.
Which means probably during that time it wasn't shrouded in darkness and scaffolding like it is right now, right?
Now it's covered and gated, but it was beautiful back then, that's for sure.
All right, so talk to us. You get through the summer bridge program. You start freshman year. So what's kind of speed us through this experience? But I'd love to hear some of the highlights. What you were excited about. You talked about getting involved with the track team. Love to figure out how that story ended up, and what was some of the highlights. Both good and bad of high school.
So my high school experience was pretty interesting. Although I was class of 2011, but the first 3 years, majority of my classes was with 2010 people. So like in middle school, I came into high school with a lot of credits. I had taken the math AB regents, I took living environment, earth science, and math proficiency. So I came in freshman year with chemistry, Spanish, like the third year of Spanish, and a lot of stuff. So I was a little bit ahead of the game. I know I was competing with this guy named Chris Laura. I don't know if you know him.
Of course, yeah.
Point. I remember every year.
Yeah. Chris Laura, we're talking about the same guy, light skinned dude with the glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
He's the ambassador.
And one of the cool things that he's done is the time that I think he spent in China, right?
Yeah. Yes. But I remember back then we were all competing whenever we got our, I guess, report card or our transcript, competing with the track credits. I was always like a few credits ahead of them, but because I came into high school with credits. But I say the highlight for me, for sure, was track, because I went in wanting to do track, even though low-key I wasn't that good, but that's besides the point. It was it was still a great experience. I did 3 years in track and field. I even to this day, I would say track was one of the highlights because of the community I built, people I met, even through injuries. I had injuries with my knees. That's why I stopped. I had a torn meniscus at one point. That's why I stopped.
Well,
there.
it's not stopped you from being physical, because I see all the martial arts stuff. So talk to me about, you got involved with the track team. Were you involved with any other extracurriculars? I know you got involved with SBI at some point. So talk to us through that.
So for the most part, I did track and field. I think I did dabble a little bit in the art club because I do draw on the side. But I think it was towards the end of sophomore year, that's when I really honestly got in tune with the SBI program. I wanted to see what it's about. Because I am very in tune with the future. I always want to know what's next for me. Basically it. And, I know junior year was that time where I would need to start getting focused and seeing what's next. So, and then also I had my track mate, I believe Duanya, was a part of urban, because I believe in my little bio you put urban. I was in the urban club for a little bit for 1 year because I wanted to do something different, do something out the ordinary that people wouldn't think I would do. Because I was pretty shy back then. I would say I was pretty shy. I wasn't that out there as I should. So I wanted to do something different that I never done. So I wanted to join the urban club, which led me to do more with the the SBI team, and see what it was about, which I don't regret. I still remember doing the mock trials, learning how to do the resume, mock interviews.
Yeah.
I still remember this one time where I don't know, somebody was giving shirts, like business shirts, and I was like rummaging through the shirts, and I actually was able to.
Oh, Pink was giving away a bunch of stuff during that time, I think, right?
Yeah, and I actually picked like a shirt very similar to this. It was very colorful. I was like, yes. And I,
Yeah, that was awesome. Pink donated a lot of shirts for both men and women. That was just great, in terms of like our mock interview competition and career day. Having those clothes for everybody was really nice.
yeah, it was pretty cool, and FBI definitely helped me with the future. Definitely remember going to different college trips. So I did went on some of the college trip. I believe I went to which one is the one in Vermont? The
Did you go to St. Michael's?
yes, that's the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I went there. It was that place was beautiful. I think it was a beautiful trip.
We always, I think one of like the big highlights, because everyone's used to growing up in the city, and I think one of the highlights of the trip that we always ended up talking about was the fact that outside of the cafeteria, everybody would just kind of drop their bags, and everybody would sort of gape and look, because people just had like their computer bags and all that stuff, and it was just piled outside of the cafeteria. Because
Yeah.
I think the tradition there is not to bring anything into the cafeteria. You just dump your bag outside, and everybody was just like, "What?" Because that's just not something you would do at Randolph or any place.
Or in New York City.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us. So you did some college trips. Hopefully that was helpful in sort of seeing what was out there and what was to offer. So as you were getting into junior and senior year, what were you thinking about, and how did you start making decisions on applications, and walk us through the process?
Okay, so my process was throughout high school, I honestly wanted to be a physical therapist at the time due to a passing of my aunt before high school even started. She that had passed away of cancer, and I used to help her a lot. Physical therapist, right? I was like, okay, let me try to be a physical therapist. And I know physical therapist has to do a lot with science. That's why I went actually enter A for Randolph with the medical portion, but I never really did it. And as I grew with the science, I actually took AP Bio. I actually flunked it. I didn't flunk it, but I didn't do very well. And
You didn't do as well as you expected yourself to do.
no, and I realized that science was not my cup of tea. But I grew to the revelation in junior years as well that I had a knack for math. I always did well at math since I was young. My mom said I got into the gifted program with math. I did everything throughout high school. Math had helped me to where I was. So in dealing with that, I had transitioned. I was like, let me try to go for a college, or go with a career with a subject I'm really good at. That was my thought process back then. So I was like, okay, I'm going to major in math. So I literally did everything I could to with that. My major was going to be math. I had, I believe, two reference from my math teachers. I did my letter, I believe my letter, based on my transition from wanting to be a physical therapist to math, and everything revolved around math. That was my goal is to do something in math, but I knew I did not want to be a teacher. That was not my plan. I did not want to deal with kids. I wanted to do something with math, in a different aspect. So I was like, let's do something in like financial or something with money, something that I could build towards and I could have a good career afterwards. So that was my thought process. During those last two years, especially my senior year. Yeah, oh, you got that. Oh, that was a interesting day too, because I was I was sick. I was that was an interesting day. My
Yeah,
graduation.
you looked great. So yeah, you're getting towards
Yeah.
senior year. You started making some decisions on the application. Sorry, I interrupted you. I was just looking
No,
at the photo as we were going.
no. Yeah, I was going through applications. I was like, oh, okay, math's gonna be my thing. Now, how I got into chose my list of colleges. I was also probably the one person. People know me in 2011. Definitely senior year of the girl that was whose name was keep being called for college of acceptance. That's for sure. I think I had applied for maybe 16, 17 schools and got into like 14 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like every day, Tatyana got accepted to this, Tatyana got
Well,
accepted.
and that's what we want. You want to have the maximum number of applications. That way, you got some leveraging and some bargaining power.
That's for sure, and choices. And for some reason, right, I boiled it down to two. One was Allegheny. That was like a really good school, and definitely what y'all SBI expressed. It was very good. It was a beautiful campus. Everything was beautiful. And then SUNY Brockport. For some reason, I like to, for some reason, I say everything happens for a reason, and sometimes I like to go with my gut as well. I visit both campus as well. For some reason, when I went to took that trip to Brockport, it just spoke with me. And also, actually, what's so funny is I had a roommate. Um, I had not only a roommate during that trip because it was an overnight trip. My bus mate to and from, but that roommate became my friend for 9 years now.
That's
So I made great friends as well during that trip. So I did not regret. I went there, loved the campus. It's beautiful, serene, and turned in, gave in my deposit right then and there, and then I was going to Brockport. That was like my school for.
So you got into so many schools. So and you mentioned some of them. What about? I know created some obviously some right away some nice friendships. But what really like drove that decision? Because you got accepted to so many schools. What was the financial thing? What was the career reason? What drove that decision making process for you?
Actually, honestly, it was honestly the atmosphere was good. The people that I met was well, and then crazy enough that the math department was actually good as well. They top people of the math department in that area, and I spoke with a lot with a professor talking about their program, and I just loved it. Honestly, money did play a factor because I know Allegheny was in Pennsylvania, out of state, private institution,
Right.
and I was like, I don't think that would be a good. Yes, it's a nice school.
You got into so many schools. So what did the financial picture at SUNY Brockport end up being?
They paid. Ooh, I don't even remember. They paid a majority.
Well, let's put it this way. Do you still owe them money?
Yeah, I still owe them money. I still do. I think that's just the price you pay when you go to college. That's
Do you remember how much you ended up in loans per year, that sort of thing?
It wasn't that high. I think maybe like 20.
20 per year?
No, not 20 per year. Like 2025 overall. No.
Okay, yeah. Because we're typically recommending, I think I got to check in with Thompson, but I think what we typically recommended is not more than $7,000 in total per year for any place that you go. So, SUNY Brockport, where is that? Long Island?
No, that's upstate. It's
That's upstate.
A little village, like it's in the Rochester area.
Oh, in Rochester. Okay, all right. I was trying to place it when I was putting the notes together for the interview, and I couldn't place it. So it's up in the Rochester area. So it's close to a few other schools, right?
Yeah. So I say we in the middle of between Rochester and Buffalo, but Brockport has the Rochester area code. It's like a little village, 30 minutes outside of Rochester.
So when you were there, so you left Randolph, made that transition. I'm just going to throw some photos up while we're talking about the end of Randolph.
Okay.
So I know this was like I think this was like, when you were with Urban.
Yes, that was fun.
And you got Kosua leading the group behind, which we just have done interviews with her. This is like from a career day interviewing, mock interview competition. I think this is from college workshop.
Yeah, that was
The talk about Chris Laura. Chris Laura is right there in front of you.
Ironic.
Yeah, in the cafeteria.
You got me. Oh my God, wasn't that in St. Michael's?
That might have been St. Michael's. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was St. Michael's. That was some great times.
Yeah, some high school memories there. This is the Milton College.
Look at me in the middle. Oh,
this was the college essay writing workshop. I can't remember this guy's name right now, but he's a really great guy, and all these guys, really contributed a lot. So, some great photos from you in the past. I'll make sure to send some of these over to you. Where are you? Oh, here you
are. Yeah, Jasmine
from the show. Been to in the background. Yeah. All right. Walk down memory lane there. All right. So talk to us. So you made this transition. What was the, you graduated from Randolph. What was the transition to Brockport like? Now you're going far away from home, right? You're not staying in the city.
That was the goal though, honestly. That's also the goal too. I did not want to stay in the city. I didn't
Well, you had been working up towards this. You had made sure from early on that you were getting as far away from home.
Anyway, trying to see some new spots. I always wanted to do something new. That was always the goal. I did not apply to any schools in the city. Fun fact. So.
And we recommend it for students that grew up in the city, to get a different experience, not to knock anybody that stayed in the city, but just the idea that, if you go outside of the city, you're seeing something new. So part of the learning process is not only, the education that you're going to receive on the campus, but, you're going to see a different part of the world. You're going to get a different education just from that. And the fact that, being a part of campus life and truly bonding with the people you're going to school with. If you're living on campus, you're going to get that experience versus going to a commuter school. Again, not knocking it for folks that went there, but you're just going to get that much more integration in with college life and get time before you have to be in the real world and really paying all your bills on your own, really getting some time away from mom and dad that prepare you for life afterwards. Definitely things that we recommend. So you're definitely down that path and fully into it. So talk to us about that experience. What did you think of the SUNY Brockport experience? What did you think of your first year there and keep it going?
SUNY Brockport was definitely an amazing experience. I did mathematics. Math was my crazy enough. Math was my only major throughout. I did not change, even though I wanted to so badly. I remember frequent, especially junior to senior. I remember countless time crying to my mom, like, "Why did I pick this major?" But I stuck with it. My philosophy was, if you went for it, stick with it and see it through. That was that's always my goal. What I did change frequently was my minor. At first I was on finance, and then I transitioned to accounting, and I also was an art minor for a little bit, but then I just canceled that out because they wanted a lot of hours for their program, and I could not do that. But my goal at first was to be an actuary that deals with a lot of statistical, is a lot of statistics in that job. And and then I was like, and then that did not work out for me. And then I got in tune with a wonderful professor. Her name was Carrie Smoker. She left the school to do other things, but she was a great um, leader provider in helping me trying to see what I wanted to do. In turn, I wanted to do more of like a financial planner, helping people budget with their money situation. So I transitioned to accounting because that's what you teach. Um,
Talk to us about like why you were sort of interested in these things. What was driving your passion? What was the experiences that sort of shaped some of the decisions around this stuff?
my decision is definitely a lot of personal experience. Uh, Family members not really good with money. I wasn't good with money at some point. And then math, I I was definitely not wanting to do something with teaching. And I remember every time I say I'm doing math, I say, "Oh, you want to be a teacher?" I'm like, "No, that's not what I want to do." I didn't know why, but I definitely did not. But it's funny how fast forward I'm working with kids, but we'll get to that. But it's just something I I do a lot with my gut, and that's something I just wanted to do and help people out. My goal was always helping people, but I didn't know how I would want to help them. So my goal was financial planning, and I did at some point, and then towards the end, I kind of crashed and burned. I didn't want to. I didn't know what I wanted to do at the end. I did a lot of interns in between my schooling. I was I I was an administrative intern. I was I did
Where were you doing these? Were these up in Rochester? Were you coming back
Rochester.
home to Brooklyn or what?
All of them was in Rochester. So I was doing schooling and interning outside. So I did an admin
Did
intern.
you come home for the holidays? Did you
I
stay up
definitely
there?
did. You know what's so great about Brockport? They had a bus, like a coach bus for New York City and Long Island kids. So during like winter break or one of them long breaks, $60 round trip.
Wow.
Them, a whole bunch of us would be 2 full buses of coach buses with Long Island kids and New York
Just
City
good,
kids.
some good bonding and some good sleep on those bus rides.
Yes, yes. I remember one of my classmates would pop in a Beyonce CD the whole ride. It was how long? Close to 7-hour bus ride, to and from my. I mean, from my school to New York City. It was a long ride. So it was a long ride, but
I can imagine some rides were longer than others, right? So,
yes.
so talk to us. So you're doing internships up in Rochester, and how are you getting involved with these internships? What was the support from SUNY Brockport, and what was what were the standout experiences at SUNY Brockport, and what was starting to lead you towards what was going to be life like after SUNY Brockport? What were you starting to do that you were getting excited about?
So a couple of things, and why I say people it's okay to fail, because I failed a couple of times. So Brockport, I think
talk about it. Yeah.
I think my number one regret possibly could be my major, but it's because it was rough. I did not have a great GPA. I cried a lot.
So what was your GPA? Why were you disappointed?
My overall GPA was a 2.8, but my major GPA was a 2.4. It was a 2.4. I'm saying this as a realistic proportion. Math, it was hard. It did, even though I could say yes, I graduated with a math degree. I could definitely say that with pride, but it was hard. And I think I'd go back to high school and how I approached math approached that degree. Because I basically went with that degree because that was the only thing I was good at the time. Math was the only thing I was good at, and I wasn't seeking different opportunities or seeing what else was I good at or other different things. And I just stuck with math, and I was like, I just want to make it to the finish. I wanted to graduate on time, make it to the finish. This is the reality, but what I don't regret is the lifelong experience I had in Brockport and the lessons that was installed in me within Brockport. I had a job with this amazing woman. Her name is Karen Pastalzi. It was similar to the SBI program. Mm-hmm. It did a lot of community service work. I was working as like a community service assistant, and a lot of our professional development worked with leadership and how to grow, how to strengthen yourself, and like life lesson skills. Like, yes, I was struggling on the inside with my major. I own up to it, but the lessons within that, it was amazing. And then also, if you want to talk about martial arts,
yeah.
When I say everything happens for a reason, everything happens for a reason. So my martial arts I started martial arts in when I was 10, right? With a Canva, it's a group, WMA. 10 thing, did it for like 2 years, then stop out of the blue. No reason, I just stopped. Fast forward to...
Is this in Brooklyn?
Yes, it was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Fast forward in college.
And what kind of martial arts do you do? What?
It's Taekwondo. It's Shotokan Taekwondo. Beautiful. Fast forward to college. I was like, I want to do a club. I'm always active. I like to stay active. That's just me. I have to do a extracurricular activity somehow. I saw Taekwondo. I was like, let's do it. Neither didn't know that my professor, the person that runs it, his wife is the math professor of the college. So it was like good connection, great
Serendipity,
connection.
right? Yeah, and this is the thing too. I mean, just to your point, being involved and having extracurricular kind of things. This is how it helps people because we're all dynamic, right? We all have more than one thing to offer, and when we show out, when we do that, and we show our passion, I think one, it's mental health. Like we have an outlet, but on the other end, it's like other people have outlets, and you find that commonality. And little will you know, but this person's really into that. No, you're into this, and it just creates that common ground that allows a lot of other things to be that much easier and grease the wheel. So, to your point, that's really great. So, yeah, talk to us about that.
Yes. So I heard I'm in the Taekwondo thing, and then that was like the September, and then like March, they frequently take trips to New York City. So even though I was in Brockport, I was going to New York City very frequently because they have tournaments in New York City like twice a year. So I was going there frequently. And this one occasion, I was going down there just to see a children's tournament. And I was talking to my sensei, and we was just reminiscing, just talking. It's a 7-hour drive, so we have to keep ourselves in tune. So we talking. I was like, yeah, I did Taekwondo back when I was 10 years old at Canberra. I remember my teacher back then, his name was Rocco. And then he said, my first teacher name is Rocco. Go to the children's tournament. The people that taught me when I was 10, 11, I saw them 6 years later when I'm now a college student going back. So
Awesome.
It kind of like, it's like I never left and I'm still here. So I continued for like 4 years and then some afterwards, because it's like I never left. I tell this story all the time. And then when I got my black belt, my first degree black belt, whenever they have somebody level up to a black belt, they have like a certificate, and then you got teachers, saying how good you are, how you've been.
And I love how you're so humble with this, because I mean, if I was a black belt in anything, I'd be like, that'd be one of my leading statements, right behind maybe the masters and the masters, but be like, I'm this, and you're just like, yeah, I'm a black belt, and you just kind of throw it in there.
Yeah, but when we got to that point, I didn't know. They didn't know what teacher gonna talk about me, because I've been amongst like 6 different teachers in a matter of like 10 years. So yeah, that's also of things always happen for a reason in that aspect. But college experience, I definitely would not regret. I met lifelong friends. I still have friends, 5 friends that we are still hanging there till this day. 9 years.
So you got some ride or dies that you made happen in college. So you're getting to junior, senior year at SUNY Brockport. Tell us what's going on with where your headspace is now. We're approaching the real world. The real world is coming, right?
Right.
What's going through your mind, and what are you thinking are going to be your next steps? You worked on this math degree; it's been hard, not necessarily your end all be all passion. So what's going through your mind to sort of take you from where you are to where you will be?
I'm just gonna try to fast forward, but I'm gonna fast forward to like senior year. I did 3 different. The last two is now it's like, what am I doing next? I don't really have much experience to hold on to it. Yes, I did 3 different interns. I did administrative intern. I did an online intern with
Now,
course.
when you say these, what kind of places were you at? So tell me, like, what exactly you're doing.
Yeah, administrative intern was at an insurance agency in Brockport. I did a online intern with Course Hero, and then I did a HR intern at the school, at the HR department at the school.
I can guess from what you're kind of doing now what you like doing the best. But what was your favorite?
My favorite was actually the HR. It was pretty. It was pretty cool. I seen like um how how they I saw how they interview people, how they get people into position, the confidentiality, the computer work, and also had great mentors as well. Um, that was a great experience, and I almost thought maybe I should do HR as a master program because I knew math did not work well, so let me do that. But then, and speaking with the person I work for, Karen Pasalti, she helped me realize it's okay to not know what you want to do, and it's okay to wait. So um, actually, even when I graduated, I actually did a research program with the McNair, the C-STEP and McNair program, which is called Better Budgets Make You More Money. I did a little research, but that research was just a stall to figure out what am I trying to do next. Everything was like a little a stall, trying to figure out what to do next. So I always like mass and experience with trying to diffuse that I don't know what to do next. But luckily, after the research, which was an amazing experience as well, if anybody has a school that has the CSEC and McNair program in it, I highly suggest you get into it. It helps a ton, especially when you have an internship. They give you some cash, and then you get to branch out and see
What's the name of the program?
CSEP and McNair.
Oh, CSEP, CSEP. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's an amazing program as well. They help me.
And what does CSEP stand for again?
Shoot. I got to
I'll look it up. So CSEP and McNair. So
yeah.
the CSEP program. So you're graduating New York College of Brockport around 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You've had these internship experiences. You got this help. What's your next step? What did you do?
My next step, by chance, I landed a job. It wasn't a job that I wanted, like I wanted. I wind up with Sports and Arts and School Foundation. Like I said earlier, I had no plans of working with kids. That was not my plans. But and miraculously, and I say this again to my mom all the time, I don't know how I got into this job. I don't remember applying, but out of the blue, right after I came home from my summer research program, I got a call for an interview as a data specialist for Sports and Arts School Foundation's after school program here in New York City.
That's so awesome. And going back to the CSEP, I think it was the College Science Enrichment Program. So it has to do around science and enrichment, college science enrichment program. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So you got this opportunity to work as a data. What was it?
Data specialist, which is mostly administrative. So I basically went from math thing, but I kind of went down to administrative, unfortunately, right after thing, right? But
so was this so the data specialist thing, was that with the, so I know it changed names, but is that with the organization that you're still with now?
yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was it called before?
Sports and Arts in School Foundation.
Okay. And now it's New York Edge, right?
They recently changed it like 2 years ago.
So you got right into this opportunity and you've developed it over time. That's amazing.
Yeah. It
I mean,
took
what drove you back to go back to school? What part of the experience like said, oh, you know what, I need to go and chase this master's?
so after in 2017 I got promoted to assistant director, and I got accepted to a lady named Lenore Greenwich, who is actually a guidance counselor. She has a
Shout out to Lenore, yeah.
yes. She actually is certified in guidance counseling, but she's the program director of the program I'm at right now, and I still work with her to this day, actually. And then prior to that, I had worked with the organization for 2 years now, and I developed the love for the kids I was working for, and I always wanted to see like where they at or how I could help them, grow, get to the next step without actually have to teach them. Like I didn't want to teach. I wanted to know how to indirectly help the kids without having to write a lesson plan. But like I'm gonna be honest with you, because even in after school, even though the specialists, if they like literacy, art, even though they are teachers. The after school program, they are teachers, and they do.
So what is it exactly that thrills you about what you do? So you don't want to do the lesson plan, but what are you excited about?
I'm excited of helping the kids get to the next step.
Right.
With
providing that guidance.
Providing that guidance, and also helping them mentally develop and get their developmentally get them there as well. I bump into the last 3 years with kids with most upsetting stories. Oh, with the most upsetting stories. A lot of them are homeless. They low income families, one single parent home. They have stories that make my story feel is nothing. And then I just, in working with my internship supervisor, it really helped me get in tune with them, help them where they need to go, and just be one with them, get at their level, so that they know that there's somebody to help them at the long run. And
what age groups are you working with?
Middle school. I've been working with middle school age for the past 5 years now, and after school and internship as well. Ages 11 to sometimes I got 16-year-olds. Yes, I had 16-year-olds in middle school, but they haven't had that tool. A lot of them have strong disabilities, learning disabilities. I learned a lot through this program, or just through working with these children, and then sometimes they come back and it's like, oh my god. It's like, you got so big. It's like, where have you been? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I know one of the challenges that we've had throughout the years is that you deal with lots of different challenges in dealing with students that are in school, and one of the challenges could be motivation. Another could be there is some kind of economic challenge going on. And then you got all these other pieces to the puzzle when it comes to dysfunctional, challenging situations. And I say dysfunctional because you got stuff that's just hard to deal with, where you have a mother or father or lack thereof that has somebody that has disability, that sort of thing, in their life going on. You have a situation where the lights aren't on at home, like you're talking about, things that are going on where it's just like you can't really address it directly. You can't, there's not a lot of ability that you have to fix these things, but you're trying to be there and do that. I don't know what your organization does, but I know, for us, while we were in the high school and you're talking to somebody and you're trying to say, well, I need your grades to be here and I need this to be here. And they're dealing with stuff that you just have no complete understanding of, and not a great way to deal with,
Right, especially now, especially at this time with this quarantine situation. This is rough. Like, this is definitely rough because I deal with a lot of kids that didn't even have electronics, like,
right,
or because they went to school. A lot of them, they needed school or the after school program because we had the electronics to help them with their homework or just they need. But
as much as we think, this, the New York City system especially is its challenge, but there's a certain benefit, no matter where your school is, for you to walk in the door in whatever clothes you're able to come in. Once you're there, you're kind of the same as everybody. You might be judged on something you're wearing, but it's not like your home looks this way, your parents are this way. Now you have this situation where everybody gets to look inside your home, and not everybody's comfortable with that, and nor should they be, right? I mean, you got stuff going on that shouldn't be anybody's business. And I know for our school district, it's certainly that way, where you got people that are well off, very affluent. They got the beautiful sofa and the view, behind them, on their computer screen. Then you got other folks that don't have a computer necessarily, or they got stuff going on behind them that isn't as attractive. And that's part of the, it's just it creates a huge challenge because it's not necessarily equitable. So I know what you're talking about. How are you guys dealing with that? How are you guys helping with the situation?
Right now, we just got in the nick of it, but I remember just the start of the program. I remember the school I was interning. The biggest challenges was the chronic absenteeism. A lot of people was very late because a lot of them was coming from far away places because they were living in shelters, or they were fulfilling like a parent role of dropping their siblings off. But now when the quarantine happened, a lot of our kids did not have electronics. So what we were doing, we're making a whole lot of parent outreach, and parent outreach, student outreach, to see how they were doing, how they were coping, if they needed supplies, if they needed electronics. Because New York City, they were giving iPads for every kid they needed, and we had to make sure that each one of our kids had the necessary tools to do the online learning, because this is our new norm now. So
I wonder if there's even like Wi-Fi in a shelter. Like, is that even a priority?
well, they say a lot. Luckily, the iPad they were giving, the Wi-Fi was supposed to be built in, so they wouldn't have really have that problem. But the beginning was rough. The beginning of this quarantine business, it was rough, and then.
So did a lot of students just kind of disappear? I'd imagine that a lot of them that were especially having difficulty just showing up, they might have just disappeared.
It's kind of crazy though. A lot of the kids that I worked with who were struggling or did not really didn't really show like a care for school that much. They did like a 180. and I'm
So
like,
you had a lot of students that took advantage of this new reality. Now you don't have to travel. Now you don't have to do all this crazy stuff just to get
yeah,
there, and that made it easier for them. Yeah, I can imagine there's a good silver lining for a bunch of folks,
yeah,
and probably a good reason to rethink education in general because this although it has its challenges, like I was saying before, in terms of the equity, I imagine that there's some outcomes here that, you know, maybe we don't have to force kids to go from one corner of a city to another just
right.
to get proper education.
Yeah, maybe it could be like a hybrid, half time, being
People
in
talking
class.
about things are going to
Something
change.
it's like go with the Joneses. Everything is electronic. Everything is technology. Maybe we need to start developing that in our practices. Like my internship supervisor says, I'm going to miss you because I'm so tech savvy, and I've been helping her a lot with learning the technology and stuff like that. So she's like, you helping me, especially at this time. Everything's technology. This is really helping me right
Yeah,
now.
because it's in some cases easier for the kids to adapt, but harder for the
Mhm.
teachers to adapt to the new environment, which is why things are slow to adapt in any educational system to begin with, because it's not the kids usually holding things back. It's the fact that old folks need to learn new tricks.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And it seemed like I don't want to say this is going to be the good new norm. I do hope people, our kids get go back to school in the safest way. But if worst case scenario, we just need to start.
Yeah, well, I can imagine there's a lot of negative consequences from kids not being seen and being in, especially some of the challenging households that they're coming from. We've already heard news reports, but you're hopeful that the majority of situations, that there's good stories and that students can take initiative without the stress of having to travel and all that. I know my own children have gone back and forth. One day it's sort of like, there's a positive because we're able to get through our work a little bit faster. There's not as much wasted time. Obviously, not the connections that you would make with friends and stuff at high school, but in terms of dealing with teachers and everything, a little bit more condensed, a little bit more streamlined. Not necessarily bad things. And then there's things that they're instituting just to make sure there's attendance and like this, so you get some of the red tape stuff, and then automatically I was just having the conversation with Alexander. Where it was like, well, why don't you say, to come on later? Because, we were talking about things that we're doing in the morning and now they have to get back sooner. So like, well, no, not necessarily, because if they go later, then it just makes things later in the day and that isn't necessarily better. So there's always like the give and take, like, you're not going to please everyone all the time, no matter what, right? So it always drives those challenges. So what are you enjoying right now, and what's the future hold for you? What are you going to be? What are you going after? Like what are you doing exactly right now in the moment that you're loving, and what do you want to do in the future?
So right now, so I went on the online track. So luckily, I didn't know I went on online track. I'm already used to this Zoom call. But the difference is between online and going in class is that yes, I was able to walk, but I still have like just 2 more weeks left of class. So I still gonna do my classes. I
You're
officially
talking about
finished.
earning your master's and getting that from NYU. I don't know if we really clearly talked about like why you were driven to go back for your master's.
Oh, why I was driven? Cause I say it was now or never. Cause I was lagging, and I wanted to once I learned what school counseling was about and all that stuff, and I was seeing, I was looking it up, and then I stumbled upon NYU and the online program, and seeing the flexibility
Mhm.
and what it is, and I applied. It took me a week to apply. I got 2 references, did everything within a week, and got. And then December, I believe December 2nd, 2017, they got the notice that you got accepted, and and got accepted, and you'll begin January 2018. Typically, class usually start like in the fall. This one was starting in the winter, so I had and I was on hold of doing school counseling, and knowing me, I didn't want to procrastinate on that. I want to just
So you
hop
started
on.
this winter 2018, and you
Mhm.
just graduated. Obviously, I know you got a couple weeks to go, but you got to walk. You've done your official graduation, and you did it all online. Did was is your organization helping out with financing? How did you finance this thing?
Um, I did a little. I tried to do some scholarships, um, but that didn't work out. But this is mostly
Scholarships are tough. We always talk about like
scholarship is
grants. Yeah.
definitely tough. That wasn't my forte, but this is definitely all on me. Definitely gonna be financing it, but
And part of, I'm assuming part of the emphasis for going after the masters is so that you can get paid more doing what you love.
absolutely, definitely get paid more, branch out, doing what I love in a broader sense, and hopefully do guidance counselor and still do after school setting on the side. At
So
the side.
are you planning on staying with New York Edge for a while, or are you actively looking for something right now that's more of a full time role?
Luckily for me, I might have I do have an opportunity to possibly be a program director if all else fail. So that program director will be a full-time gig
With New York Edge?
with New York Edge. Um, what I didn't tell you, I've been working is all part-time. That's another thing. But it was a blessing in disguise for being working part-time, because I went to school part-time, and I had classmates who had to quit their job to get through this program. I didn't have to. Thankfully, I didn't have to quit my job. I was able to work and go to school at the same time. But after this, I'm hoping to get a full-time job in either program director in my organization, or hopefully in the career in the degree that I have right now is school counseling.
That's
So
awesome. So I know that there's going to be people that are watching this. So I want you to talk about two things to sort of close us out here. One, if there are folks that have any information for any opportunities that you're looking for, because I know you're actively, you got your feelers out, right? You're looking for stuff. So
that's
I
what.
would talk to folks that might know of something, some kind of opportunity that exists for you. So talk to that. Also talk to, like, are you available to help somebody else with something that they're working on? Is there an opportunity there? And then I know that we have this overarching theme that we wanted to talk about in terms of trying and failing and not giving up and that sort of thing. So I want you to address that. So if you would just close us out with those kind of three statements, what you're looking for, what you might be able to provide in terms of value to somebody, and what you want somebody to take away from this interview.
Right now, what I'm looking for is hopefully definitely a position, because now I'm open. I'm open for a school counseling position. That's my main goal. Um,
School counselor?
School counselor. That's my goal. Or something along those lines of helping kids getting ahead, growth, helping with the growth. That's my main goal. Um, what I could help people, I definitely am a message away. You could definitely contact me through LinkedIn or Facebook. If you have any questions for me, if I missed something, if you have more questions, you could definitely feel free to um, hit me up. I'm an open book. Before I was more shielded, I was shy, shielded, but I could say through the 9 years or 13 years, I definitely seen a big growth within me, and I will definitely love to share that with you. Um, And then piggyback on what I want people to learn from me is it's okay to fail. It's okay to not know what you want. It's okay to take breaks. Between undergrad and grad school, it took me 2 years and a half to figure out what I want to do. And now I found what I want to do, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. As compared to undergrad, it's okay to fail. It's um, half the time undergrad, what you do in undergrad, you don't. A lot of people don't do the major. They do. They had their degree on it undergrad, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Um, just focus on you and focus on your gut. That's that's what I
That's
want.
great. Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. One of the things that I think, through SBI, hopefully you got out of it was that, just setting things up to have the most opportunity possible, right? And I think you've always done a really good job of that, and you're certainly setting yourself up for some fabulous opportunities that I'm sure are going to come your way. So whether you want somebody that is going to be a school counselor or kick some butt in the dojo, we got. Tatyana Legros, and I definitely want to encourage folks like yourself. You want to help students. There's definitely the outlet. Obviously, in terms of like the paid opportunities, it's a little challenging. But if we can get alumni to come back and contribute financially in a big way to SBI, hopefully we'll have more opportunities, paid opportunities to do work at Randolph in the school, but certainly to come back and be a part of the board and contribute. Very much like to invite you to be a part of that, Tatyana. I think you'd be great. I'm going to let you have the closing word here and say goodbye to everybody, and then we will be back tomorrow. We have, let's see who we have here. We have Tulani Thomas, class of '94, and she's an author. She's somebody that just has an amazing story. She's CPA, corporate attorney, self-published author, mother too. So there's plenty of alumni that can help each other, and definitely want to put everybody in contact with each other because working these connections can certainly lead to some great opportunities there. All right. So I will leave it at that. We'll have Tulani Thomas tomorrow at 4:00, and I'll let Tatyana Legros close this one out.
Well, it was great. I'm so glad you hit me up, Cameron. It was great seeing you, speaking with you, speaking with everybody about my journey to where I'm at right now. And I hope to hear from everybody soon. Thank you.
Thanks very much.